You know, I've seen it so many times. People rushing through life like they're trying to catch a train that's already leaving the station. There's this urgency, this relentless push to get somewhere fast, to turn dreams into reality overnight. And honestly, I used to be that person too. I believed that if I just worked harder, faster, stretched every second into an opportunity, I could bypass the waiting, the patience, and get straight to the success I craved. But truthfully, it was a constant race against myself, a never-ending cycle of frustration and disappointment. I thought that every delay was a sign of failure, that if I wasn't making progress instantly, I was falling behind. And I know how crushing that can feel, being caught in a storm of impatience, feeling like no matter what you do, you're still stuck, still waiting for life to finally give you what you want. Maybe you felt it too, that little voice in your mind whispering, if I just had more, faster, sooner. Or, what's wrong with me that I'm not there yet? It's exhausting. That sense that time is against you, that if you don't act now, everything will slip away and you'll be left behind. I used to believe that too, and honestly, that urgency built walls around me. Decisions born out of pressure, not clarity. Actions driven by desperation, not purpose. The worst part? That kind of energy only attracts more lack, more struggle, more obstacles, and more reasons to feel stuck. One day, I hit a breaking point. I realized that this endless rush wasn't actually helping me get closer to my dreams. It was blocking me. I was so consumed with the need for immediate results that I couldn't see the bigger picture, nor could I truly feel the abundance I desperately wanted. It was as if I was trying to sprint my way through a marathon that demanded endurance, patience, and trust, values I was dismissing in my haste. And that's when it hit me. The universe doesn't operate on our timeline when we're desperate, anxious, and impatient. It works differently, and I had to learn to dance with that rhythm, slowly, steadily, with confidence that everything was unfolding perfectly, even if I couldn't see it right now. It wasn't easy to accept at first. I kept telling myself I needed to move faster, to do more, to make things happen yesterday. Yet each time I pushed harder, I felt more drained, more disconnected from what I truly wanted: peace, clarity, and a sense of flow. That's when I started to question everything I believed about success and speed. Because what if I was actually pushing away the very possibilities I was longing for? What if the stress of the hurry was drowning out my intuition, my inner knowing that the right opportunities come when I'm aligned, not frantic? I won't pretend I've completely mastered patience overnight. It's a journey, and I'm still learning. But I can tell you this: the more I slowed down inside, the clearer my vision became. The more I stopped rushing, the more opportunities revealed themselves. I learned to trust that the universe has a timing of its own, one that's aligned with my growth, not my impatience. This shift didn't come from forcing or frantic efforts. It came from calming that inner storm, from accepting that sometimes less is more, and that stepping into patience isn't about waiting passively, but about becoming more aware, more present to what really matters. So, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to ask yourself, are you rushing because you believe you're running out of time? Or are you rushing because you've convinced yourself that progress has to look a certain way, at a certain speed? Honestly, I used to think that change had a deadline, that every moment without progress was a failure. But I've come to see that life doesn't operate on our urgency. It works on divine timing, patience, and trust. That's the secret I wish I had understood earlier. Because once you realize that, everything begins to shift. You start to see that what you desire isn't so much about the speed at which you get it, but about aligning with the energy that attracts it. That's what I want to share with you today, because I truly believe that understanding this change of perspective can transform not just your wallet, but your whole life. So, ask yourself, what would it be like if you stopped rushing? If you reconnected with patience as a conscious act of power? How would your reality change if you let go of that gnawing need for immediacy? Keep that question in your mind, because soon, we're going to explore the profound truth that the universe actually works best when we flow with it, not against it. And trust me, that perspective alone can set you free from the cycle of frustration and propel you toward prosperity, faster than you ever thought possible. When I first began to shift my mindset around timing, I unraveled a layered mythology I'd been unwittingly carrying. I had been conditioned to see time as a strict adversary, a ticking clock that only stressed me further when I wasn't doing enough. It felt as if the world was constantly urging me to rush, to hurry through each moment, as if life itself was a race I had to win before it slipped away. But as I started to peel back those ingrained beliefs, I realized that rushing only served to create a false sense of control, a temporary illusion masking feelings of scarcity and insecurity. Imagine trying to hold on to water with your fists clenched tightly. That's what attempting to force life's gifts into your grasp feels like. It's an exhausting effort that leaves you empty-handed. Instead, I learned that aligning with a natural rhythm required releasing the grip on outcomes, understanding that the flow is steadier, gentler, and infinitely more sustainable. When I stopped fighting to accelerate my results, I noticed something extraordinary. Opportunities came to me more effortlessly. Doors opened without force, and what once felt like an uphill battle suddenly became a walk through a peaceful garden with clear pathways. My role shifted from pushing and grabbing to becoming receptive, like a ship setting sail on calm waters rather than fighting a storm. Becoming aware of this subtle distinction led me to recognize a vital truth. Rushing comes from a deep-rooted feeling of lack, a mindset that whispers, "You're running out of time," or "If you don't act now, it'll all disappear." But that whisper is an illusion, a veil over the reality that everything unfolds in its own right pace. When I stopped listening to that voice, I found space to breathe, to observe how life's timing isn't a line drawn in the sand. It's more like a flowing river that bends and turns, but always moves forward. My focus shifted from trying to control the current to learning how to swim with it, conserving my energy for moments when crosscurrents call for a little effort, but not chaos. Now, consider how this insight transforms when applied to everyday situations. When you chase after opportunities or chase your goals with impatience, you risk missing the subtle signs that are guiding you. Our intuition often whispers solutions or nudges that can only be recognized when we've quieted the noise of urgency. For instance, I remember a time when I was desperate to land a particular client, pushing tirelessly, making frantic calls, sending endless emails. It didn't work. Then, I shifted my approach. I released the immediate need and began to work on myself, aligning my energy, sharpening my focus, and trusting that the right timing would come. Within days, a new opportunity unexpectedly emerged, smoother and more in tune with what I truly wanted. That moment confirmed one thing. Some things are better when they're allowed to develop naturally, without interference. This revelation extends into how we relate to setbacks and delays. It's tempting to see every obstacle as a personal failure, but that perspective only reinforces a sense of scarcity. In reality, each delay often acts as a necessary pause, a silent seed planting process, preparing to sprout at exactly the right moment. When I embraced this, my mindset shifted from frustration to curiosity. I started asking myself, what could I learn from this pause? How can I use this time to strengthen my foundation? I realized that the biggest breakthroughs rarely happen in hurried bursts. They emerge from periods of reflection, steady effort, and quiet patience. Like a gardener tending to a seed, you nurture growth by giving it time and the right environment, not by rushing to see sprouts that aren't ready to emerge. Furthermore, I've come to understand that trying to rush results creates internal resistance on a deep level. Your energy becomes tense, anxious, almost desperate, which repels the very things you desire. Instead of fueling abundance, it feeds imbalance. When I learned to cultivate a sense of calmness in my actions, I experienced a remarkable shift. Opportunities that felt distant suddenly became tangible because my energy was aligned with allowing rather than forcing. I began to see the value in strategic stillness, the powerful act of choosing to wait until inspired action feels natural rather than compelled. This subtle shift often means the difference between struggle and serenity on the path of prosperity. So, if you find yourself feeling anxious about how long it's taking for your goals to materialize, remember this. Rushing only widens the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The key is to recognize the importance of gentle, consistent movement that honors your natural timing. It's about creating space, letting go of attachment to immediate results, and allowing life to reveal its masterpieces in their own time. When you do this, you're not merely waiting, you're aligning. And when alignment becomes your guide, progress flows seamlessly, effortlessly, and with greater ease than ever before. There's a profound freedom that comes when you recognize how many of your frustrations are born from resistance to timing. I remember countless moments when I'd push forward with relentless energy, hoping that force alone could speed things up. But the more I tried to control every detail, the more apparent it became. Results often don't appear on demand. They develop in their own natural rhythm. Once I embraced this truth, I started to notice an incredible pattern. The more I abandoned the need to micromanage outcomes, the smoother the process became. It's as if I was synchronizing with a silent, invisible force that gently guides everything into place, like a craftsman who knows when to hammer and when to pause. Building on this, I came to see that what we perceive as delays are not obstacles, but invitations to deepen our connection with ourselves. These moments reveal hidden layers of doubt or uncertainty that might have been buried beneath the surface. Instead of viewing delays as failures, I learned to interpret them as opportunities for reflection, for tuning into what I truly want, beyond the noise of impatience. When I resisted the urge to rush, I found my clarity sharpened. My desires became more defined, sharper, like a sculptor chiseling away excess to reveal a masterpiece. Often, I'd realize that what I thought I wanted was just a fragment of a larger vision that required time to fully emerge. Now, think about how this perspective applies when faced with obstacles that seem insurmountable. What if every setback was actually a strategic pause, a moment designed to prepare me for the next phase of my growth? Sometimes, I'd hit what felt like a dead end, only to discover later that I'd been diverted onto a path that was far more aligned with my highest good. These detours often contain subtle lessons, mirrored in my own reactions and beliefs, that only become evident once enough distance has been gained. Instead of rushing past those signs or forcing my way through, I started to see patience as a form of active trust. I didn't need to manipulate circumstances. I simply needed to understand that timing was a vital element, and surrendering to it created space for opportunities to unfold effortlessly. Another dimension to consider involves how mental energy influences the quality of what manifests. When I was overly driven by urgency, it often resulted in a frantic sort of focus, like trying to sprint while my legs are tied together. The breakthrough came when I realized that cultivating calmness inside generated a different kind of energy, one that attracted things naturally, almost magnetically. The feelings we emit are essential. They act as signals to the universe that we're ready to receive. Cultivating a sense of ease and assurance doesn't mean complacency. Instead, it's about aligning your inner state with the vibration of abundance. When I maintained a grounded confidence, doors opened more effortlessly. Fresh opportunities appeared, sometimes unannounced, like surprises that had been patiently waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. Think about how this applies when you're faced with ongoing challenges. It's easy to get caught up in the endless cycle of reactions, worry, frustration, impatience. But what if each difficulty was simply a reflection of your current level of alignment? Every stubborn obstacle exposes limiting beliefs that need re-examining. When I encountered persistent hurdles, I stopped fighting them. Instead, I asked myself, what do I need to see here? What beliefs am I holding onto that might be blocking my flow? Often, a little shift in perspective was enough to dissolve what previously felt insurmountable. This process became a catalyst for greater self-awareness and deeper trust in divine timing, where instead of trying to force my way through, I learned to listen inward and respond from a place of inner calm. Another aspect to consider involves how I see my own progress. Pacing myself with conscious awareness added a new layer of effectiveness. I learned to celebrate small wins and acknowledge subtle signals of growth, rather than waiting for giant breakthroughs to declare the journey successful. This approach kept me motivated without falling into frustration. When I allowed myself to appreciate the subtle, almost imperceptible shifts happening beneath the surface, I strengthened my confidence that true transformation is a steady process, not an instant fix. I realized that every moment of stillness, every act of trusting, contributed to a momentum that, over time, gathered strength into unstoppable waves of prosperity. In essence, releasing the need to control every element of your experience unleashes an extraordinary power, the power to cooperate with life's natural flow. You begin to see that difficulties are merely signposts, guiding you toward deeper self-understanding and alignment. As soon as I started viewing delays with curiosity instead of frustration, I found that the pace of my success accelerated because I was harmonizing with the organic timing designed to serve my highest good. It's like planting a seed and knowing that roots take time to grow before the blossom appears. When you accept that process, you're free from battles with circumstances outside your influence, and you tap into a limitless well of trust and confidence, knowing that what's meant for you is always on its way, arriving exactly when the moment is perfect. A different layer of understanding emerged when I began to see patience not as passivity, but as a strategic presence. It's akin to tending a delicate, ancient tree. Rushing to see blossoms before roots are strong enough can cause irreparable damage. Instead, cultivating patience becomes a quiet act of stewardship, nurturing long-term growth instead of chasing immediate results. This shifted my approach from an obsession with short-term gains to appreciation for slow, steady progress. Moving beyond conventional notions of persistence, I learned to hold space for possibilities that might seem distant at first, but are gradually taking form beneath the surface. Once I accepted that extraordinary achievements often require a deep layering of small, consistent acts, I uncovered an essential truth. The subtle art of timing involves aligning multiple elements within ourselves. This means recognizing that emotions, expectations, and internal beliefs are interconnected. For instance, internal tension can create ripples in our energetic field, sending conflicting signals that hinder manifestation. In contrast, a calm, centered state acts like a mirror reflecting clarity back to us, attracting situations compatible with that steadiness rather than chaos. It's like tuning a musical instrument. Fine adjustments in our internal harmony set the tone for what gets played out externally. Now, consider how this applies in moments when things seem to stagnate. Resistance often manifests as a constant mental noise, thinking about how much you need something, how long it's taking, or what you lack. These thoughts form a barrier that prevents attractor mechanisms from functioning effectively. Instead of trying to force solutions, I've learned to step back and observe my feelings. If impatience or doubt begins to crop up, I welcome those sensations as signals that I am still aligning with scarcity. Recognizing that such feelings are part of the process helped me reframe delays not as failures, but as necessary calibrations. Just as a dial on a radio needs to be fine-tuned, moments of discomfort guide us toward greater harmony. Furthermore, a powerful shift occurs when we stop viewing timing as a challenge to overcome and instead see it as an indicator of readiness. It's a subtle but profound shift, embracing slow periods as an essential part of the creative cycle, much like the quiet pause before a symphony reaches its crescendo. During these pauses, unseen work happens behind the scenes, strengthening our foundation for the next phase of growth. When I began to see blocks not as walls, but as signs pointing toward inner refinement, patience became an act of trust rooted in understanding that the process is a delicate crafting of one's life tapestry. Every delay or setback we encounter can transform into a stepping stone if we allow ourselves to trust in the unfolding. Building on this, I discovered that a focus on internal harmony profoundly influences how quickly things unfold externally. Think of it like tuning a sensitive instrument. Even a slight adjustment in mindset jolts the overall vibration into harmony. When doubts creep in, they subtly alter our energetic makeup, making it difficult for opportunities to flow. Conversely, maintaining a sense of inner peace acts like a magnetic field aligning with success and abundance. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect, but about cultivating resilience, bringing a gentle, unwavering awareness that things are happening in their own divine timing. When I held on to that certainty, I noticed synchronicities multiplying and situations shifting without the frantic push I once relied on. Now, the way I practice this calibration is through gentle awareness, not forcing control. It's like steering a small boat on a calm lake. Small movements keep you on course, but excessive effort causes unnecessary turbulence. As I shifted my focus from controlling outcomes to gently steering my mindset, I found the pace of results naturally increasing. Sometimes, that means sitting in silence, meditating, or simply choosing thoughts that elevate my mood. Those moments of internal composting prepare the soil for future growth, often in ways unseen at the moment. This process reveals an underlying principle. The timing of everything hinges on how well we orchestrate our inner environment to match the energy of what we desire. By allowing the natural order of things to unfold, I no longer feel the burden of needing to rush or force circumstances. It's akin to planting a garden and trusting that each seed will sprout when conditions are right, not according to an arbitrary schedule. This newfound trust becomes a silent partner, whispering that, in due course, all that's meant to flourish will do so effortlessly. That perspective liberates us from the obsession with immediate gratification, opening space for something much more profound, a rhythm that nurtures deep, resilient abundance. Fast-forwarding life's process simply inflates stress and diminishes the joy inherent in the journey. Flowing with will always generate richer, more lasting results. Reflecting on this journey so far, I can't help but notice how all these insights weave into a larger narrative, one where patience, trust, and gentle awareness form the foundation of genuine transformation. It's as if each revelation acts as a thread in a vast, intricate tapestry, their intersections creating a pattern of harmony that was hidden beneath the chaos of haste. I've come to see that life offers a subtle orchestration, one which invites us to participate by becoming receptive instead of reactive, cooperative instead of confrontational. The more I stepped into this perspective, the clearer it became that true progress doesn't happen through frantic effort, but through a nuanced dance with unseen forces, a delicate balance of intention and surrender. Imagine for a moment a river flowing naturally, unperturbed by obstacles or haste. Its waters find their own way around or through whatever lies before them. That metaphor begins to capture how surrendering the need to control every turn can lead us to find hidden channels of possibility. Suddenly, I was no longer fighting against the current, but moving with it in harmony, allowing things to unfold in a sequence that feels seamless, organic. It's a quiet strength that doesn't demand immediate gratification but trusts in the process's unfolding, knowing that each step, no matter how small, is carrying us closer to what we seek. This shift in perspective invites a deeper appreciation of the present moment, discovering richness not in the end result, but in every nuance along the way. Throughout this exploration, I've seen how internal states serve as the silent architects shaping circumstances outside ourselves. When the mind is calm, anchored in confidence, the external world tends to mirror that stability. Conversely, chaos within often manifests as turbulence externally, an intricate dance of cause and effect driven by our inner landscape. Recognizing this has dissolved many illusions I once held about control. There's a profound liberation in understanding that the universe responds to the frequency we emit, an energetic echo of our beliefs, emotions, and perceptions. It's a subtle, powerful exchange that often operates beneath conscious awareness, quietly calibrating itself to the vibrations we broadcast. Becoming more aware of these exchanges transforms the way we approach every challenge, each delay, each seeming setback. When I think about those moments of apparent stagnation or difficulty, I no longer see obstacles but opportunities, groundwork laid in silence for growth to take root. Every pause, every delay, becomes a vital part of a larger cycle I'm increasingly recognizing as natural. They serve as reminders that life often needs space to breathe and evolve, much like a seed that needs time underground before bursting into new life. Trusting this process requires a departure from hurried expectations and a willingness to accept that some parts of creation can't be rushed. This acceptance nurtures patience as an act of active faith, a gentle but persistent belief that everything is working on a divine schedule designed specifically for our highest good. This perspective also reframes how I interpret my own experience, viewing setbacks not as failures, but as signals pointing toward inner growth. They are moments that clarify what remains unresolved, what beliefs might still need to be re-examined, or where energy has become blocked. Each of those instances offers an opening to deepen understanding, to recalibrate, and to strengthen resilience from within. The more I engaged with these revelations, the more I grasped that fluidity in thought and emotion shapes the foundation for effortless manifesting. When I no longer resist the natural ebb and flow of circumstances, I find myself moving through life with a sense of ease, confidence, and even anticipation of new opportunities. What emerges unmistakably from this perspective is a sense of interconnectedness, an invisible web that links our internal landscape to the world around us. Cultivating this awareness demands more than mere acknowledgement. It calls for a subtle, ongoing attentiveness, a gentle prompting to observe how each belief, emotion, and choice influences the wider tapestry. I see now that stepping into this finely tuned awareness acts as an invitation for abundance to flow unimpeded. Each moment becomes an opportunity to refine my vibration, to soften resistance, and to trust that something greater than my immediate understanding is orchestrating everything behind the scenes. Slowly, I've come to understand that genuine power lies not in forcing outcomes, but in cultivating the quiet confidence to let life reveal its mysteries in divine timing. And as this understanding settles deeper within, it draws me into a quiet anticipation, knowing that the real magic occurs when I surrender control and simply become receptive to what's already on its way. Life isn't a race against the clock, but a dance of harmony, patience, and trust that all the pieces fall into place, often in ways I could never plan or predict. This realization transforms the sense of urgency into a gentle excitement, an invitation to participate fully, knowing that every moment is leading me closer to the abundance that's already beginning to emerge from within. When I shift my focus from forcing to flowing, from rushing to trusting, everything begins moving with a natural grace that I am only just starting to truly understand. Ultimately, I came to see this journey not as a destination to reach, but as a continuous dance of unfolding awareness. Each moment revealed a new layer of understanding, whispering softly that life responds to our inner state, shaped more profoundly by the subtle nuances of our vibration than by any external effort. There's a quiet power in aligning within, an art of refinement that elevates our natural ability to attract abundance without the noise of pushing or forcing. When we surrender the need to hurry, we step into a space where everything begins to align effortlessly, as if synchronized by unseen currents guiding us gently forward. This realization transformed my entire perspective. The more I loosened the grip of impatience, the clearer I saw that real growth emerges in the spaces between effort, a delicate ebb and flow that supports deeper integration. I started to notice how it's often in moments of stillness, of momentary pauses, that the most meaningful shifts occur. It's not about the frantic chase, but about cultivating a sense of internal harmony that naturally invites good into our lives. When I stop trying to manipulate circumstances and instead cultivate a calm, centered presence, I discover opportunities appearing precisely at the right times, often unexpectedly, yet perfectly synchronized with my inner readiness. The truth I've come to embrace is that deep, lasting change is woven into the fabric of patience itself. It's in the gentle acceptance that each phase has its own timing, one not subject to our personal desire for immediacy. When I stop resisting what is happening around me and instead resonate with the subtle rhythm beneath surface appearances, harmony floods through. Life becomes a series of unfolding moments that hold the power to transform everything I thought I knew about achievement. It's about cultivating a quiet confidence, an unwavering belief that, regardless of what appears outside, the most important shifts are occurring within, shaping the foundation for profound manifestation. What remains with me is the understanding that embracing this flow opens a gateway to sustained abundance. Instead of seeking shortcuts or racing against the clock, I've learned that genuine progress comes from a willingness to embrace the present fully, to honor the process in each step. When I approach life in this way, a deep sense of peace settles within, and with that peace comes a natural attraction, a magnetism that pulls desires toward me smoothly, almost invisibly. Each experience, no matter how small it seems, contributes to this larger harmony. When I stop fighting the natural course of events, I find myself co-creating with life's gentle guidance rather than struggling against it. The most profound lesson is that this approach is not about doing more, but about becoming more aware of what already exists in me, an unlimited reserve of potential waiting to be expressed when I align with its subtle current. It's a matter of tuning into what's happening beneath the surface, trusting that every delay, every quiet moment, is guiding me to something more aligned, more authentic. Increasing my awareness of this flow has shifted my relationship with time from one of impatience to one of reverent anticipation. This shift may appear subtle, but its impact is monumental. It clears the way for grace and abundance to enter with less resistance. If I could leave you with one final thought, it would be that true mastery in aligning with abundance isn't about controlling outcomes, but about cultivating a receptive inner environment. It's about allowing life to move at its own pace, appreciating each phase for its unique contribution to your growth. When the need to rush fades into the background, you notice how effortlessly opportunities align and desires materialize in ways that surpass your expectations. Embrace this perspective, and you'll discover that life's richest offerings arrive, not in hurried moments, but in peaceful, deliberate harmony. From here, every step becomes an act of surrender and gratitude, paving the way for a lasting, abundant flow that can never be rushed.